Welcome to the JTJ 2025 review of the year. It's been 2 years since I did one of these, and the main reason for doing another one is because it's actually been an extremely productive year for us, with all the rehearsing and writing and recording we've managed to squeeze in, despite all of us being extremely busy and only really getting a chance to get together twice a month at the most. We've still managed to put together a lot of finished songs, and we've got quite a pile of unfinished songs mounting up, and that's one of the main reasons for making this video, so I can catalogue a lot of our unfinished material and give us a clearer roadmap of what we could possibly do in 2026. So without further ado, here is the review of what we've managed to do this year. Our first session of 2025 was on the 18th of January, and it was our usual mix of writing and going over old stuff. During the writing process, Jacob came up with this slow, menacing riff, quite industrial in nature, had lots of jangly guitar, and this would later be combined with another thing that John came up with in that session, which was a resurrected bass line from November of the previous year. At the time, because they were spaced out over the course of the session, we didn't really relate them to each other, but afterwards, when I was putting together the recording with the video, like I do after every practice, I heard some potential and made a rough assembly cut, which I then added some bongos and some percussion to, because at the time it felt very much like a throwback to the 70s, and we have our beginnings to the song Wolfen. We also finished the studio version of Cathedral, which we'd previously put up on YouTube as a live practice, a near perfect take, which Jacob had added his guitars and keyboards on at home. But in the advent of our new recording techniques involving MIDI and DAWs, we revamped it, and so we have a slightly more polished sounding version of Cathedral. It's still up for debate amongst the band members whether it's the preferred version. I think they both have their own charm. On the 23rd of March, John couldn't make the session, and so it was Jacob and I, guitars and drums, and because it's quite difficult to play full songs without the bass guitar to fill it out, Jacob and I decided that we would have a pure writing session. This resulted in 4 possible songs, very much fleshed out really at the time, so we're going to have to go back and look at these. They're all very different in style, so here's 3 of them, all unnamed, all very different moods and vibes. We also named one of the songs rather obnoxiously at the time. We called it Jungleismo, which is obviously very cheesy because it had some kind of loose connection to drum and bass and jungle. We would then develop that later on in the year, as you will see. Also in March, we recorded the studio version of Slow Hand. Previously, Slow Hand had been recorded using an 8-track digital recorder with acoustic drums, then a bass overdubbed, and then later on Jacob adding keyboards and guitars at home. But we weren't satisfied with the drum sound, and so we now have a nice full sounding version utilising the Roland and the VST drum sounds that Jacob then further enhances in FL Studio at home. In April, on the 12th, we finalised the main structure of Space Jam. Space Jam was a song that had been written in October the previous year, and we'd been chipping away at it, and we actually thought we'd finished it. But John had been at home listening to it and coming up with new amazing parts for the end, and we finally got a good recorded version of it. on the 12th, but as you will see, this wasn't the finished story. We still have an intro to come. Also in April, on the 25th, we finally nailed Hairless Beast, which is quite a tricky song to play live, and in doing so we gave ourselves the challenge to replicate it later on in the year with the studio version, which we will talk about later. In May, on the 9th, we took the song Jungle Is Mo and thankfully changed its name to Back to the One, and this was based around John taking a 16-bar sequence of the jam that Jacob and I had previously had and coming up with a bass line that I had to follow. So this became an enormous challenge for me because previously I'd had the ultimate freedom to jam along and just move the beat wherever I wanted. Now I was having to adhere to John's 16-bar structure, and I think we came up with quite a nice little loop. So we now have part of another song that needs developing with a chorus and middle eight, so we will see where we go with it. In June, on the 21st, we came up with a little reggae tune, very much in line with Walking on the Moon as far as that Big Andy Summers chord goes, Jacob providing the atmosphere. That would be nice to develop into something. It's just another one for the growing pile, so we'll see where we take that. Also, we finally came up with the finished studio version of Hairless Beast, which sounds nice and full and we're all extremely happy with. In August, I came up with the intro for what would later become Wolfen. I came up with this at work while driving around on one of the forklifts, singing the song in my head. What I was basically doing was taking the turnaround and turning it into like a half-time thing, so sort of doubling it in length, keeping the same melody structure. Added to that, I was thinking of the drum part. So when I came home, I had to quickly rush into my drum room and record it. So on the 16th of August, John and I had a drums and bass session and we devised and recorded the intro. So that was another part of Wolfen waiting to be assembled for the final version. In October, we recorded a full version of Space Jam with the new intro included for the first time. We're very happy with that. It really does give the song a lot more atmosphere. So by achieving that, the song is now ready for a final studio recording, which we're hoping to release very soon. A song that's been hanging around for a long time now, I'd say at least a couple of years, is one of John's excellent bass lines for a song that's called Out of Nowhere, and we had a stab at it on the 25th of October. It really is begging to be finished at some point. I think it's got a lot of potential. In November, John and I had another bass and drum session. We were really having trouble getting all three of us in the studio at any one time, so so we had to make do with whoever we could get in, and this yielded the finished rhythm track using acoustic drums and bass guitar. We all pretty much agreed on the fact that using acoustic drums and having a more lively, jazzier, funkier sound was really what this song needed. On the 30th of November we had another very productive writing session, thankfully with all three of us in the studio this time. Jacob came up with this jangly indie rock sounding guitar riff. And John brought back his song that goes back all the way to the 90s, so it's actually older than Jacob. We still call this song ambient, as we did when we recorded a drum and bass version of it on an old cassette 4-track back in the day. Hopefully this is another one of our old songs that will be finished soon. So in the final month, December, on the 6th, John and I had a drums and bass session again. We worked on a new riff of John's, a kind of funky bass thing, starting to take shape at last. Hasn't got a title yet. On the 14th, we had the traditional Christmas special with all three of us in the room, and despite us wearing Christmas hats, we managed to squeeze out 2 more songs. Jacob came up with a heavy swing metal sounding thing. John came up with another funky bass line. He did this while at home while watching The Simpsons, so he decided to call it Lisa. So the plans for 2026 are really revolving around writing and recording. We have this massive pile of unfinished songs going back to 2023 and 2024, including Swamp Funk, Abuela Muerta, Out of Nowhere, which I mentioned before, and Ambient, which goes back to the 90s, plus this old relic from the 90s. I think having a 90s revival is only right when you've got 2 members of the band being Gen X. It'd be really good to finally hear these songs completed and recorded with Jacob's polish. And I guess the other thing that we want to do is to ready more final recordings for a Spotify or streaming presence so we can get our songs out there. So 2026 promises to be quite an exciting year for the band. I can't believe we're starting on our 4th year. In fact, I spoke to Adam, who runs Card Trick Studios. I told him that we were starting on our 4th year, and he was really surprised, because not only that time had gone so quickly, but a lot of bands don't last, It's a testament to how well John, Jacob and I work together and how we get on. So I think we've got a very good thing going, and long may it continue. So that's it, that's the review. We'd like to wish you all a happy new year, and thank you for watching our videos.